Hey, what's up, guys? It's me, TSPRavshiva. I am the spiritual philanthropist. And we're going to take a look at something really interesting. Something I've always found interesting was Moses, and he had this staff that had so much power it was able to part the Red Sea, among many other miracles that it was able to do. And let's take a look at this video and see what's going on here. Hope you're all having a great Easter. I hope you loved the video that I posted earlier about Easter and the sacred fire in Jerusalem, so you might want to check that out as well. All right, let's check this out.
This evening I'm going to share with us something very interesting and special about the staff of Moshe Rabbeinu. This week we're starting the book of Shemot. Now the staff, the stick Moshe Rabbeinu had was no simple staff. We know this staff eventually serves to be the staff which the 10 plagues were done with, that the sea was split with, that Moshe Rabbeinu actually killed Og with. Soon we're going to see all of those stories. But what's the source? Where does this staff come from? The Mishnah in Masechet Avot actually tells us that this staff was created during Ben Hashmashot, twilight of the creation, of the last day. There were 10 things that were created during twilight, right Friday, during, again, the 6th day of creation, going into Shabbat. There were 10 things created. One of the 10 was this staff. This staff, according Mate, this staff was of blue sapphire. It was something which was very strong, very sturdy, and this was actually found by Adam in the Garden of Eden before he left. So that was the first to have found the staff. The staff was then passed on to Chanoch. Chanoch then passed it down to Shem, the son of Noah. After that, it was passed down from Shem to Abraham. Abraham then passed it on to his son Isaac, Isaac to Jacob, Jacob to Yosef. So how did it get to Moses? Listen to this. Yosef passes away at 110 years old. When Joseph passed away, being that he was the viceroy, Paro collected all of Yosef's belongings, much of his wealth and a lot of his personal belongings, especially all the jewelry that was given to him by Paro. Paro took that all back. He didn't leave it for Joseph's children or descendants. Along with that, he took this staff. He saw this staff and it was a beautiful staff. He took it as well. Now we know that, moving a little later, Yitro, which becomes the eventual father-in-law of Moses, Yitro was one of the 3 advisors of Paro. When there was a disagreement, and when Paro came and presented his 3 main advisors, what should we do with the Jewish people? They're multiplying. Yitro didn't want to get into that fight, so he ran away. Before running away, he put his eye on that sapphire staff, and he took it when he ran away. So Yitro stole it. Listen to how amazing this is. This is a whole story. Yitro comes to Midian and settles in Midian. He becomes the priest of Midian. He takes this staff and he sticks it, not intentionally, but he sticks it in the ground of the field of Midian, one of his fields. He sticks it and he comes back later to pull it out and he wasn't able to pull it out. He tried, he had many people try, to the point where he said that anybody who pulls out this staff from the ground will marry my eldest daughter, Tzipora.
Okay, guys, so the reason I love doing this is because it brings up certain things that I can correlate it to. There's many stories in the past, like Excalibur, where there was a sword that was created. I'm not saying to dismiss this. I'm saying how interesting it is that Excalibur also had a quality to it, and only a certain type of person could actually pull that sword out of the stone. And another thing is interesting. In India, there's a story of, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was Lord Shiva. And in order, if they said if anyone could pull this bow and arrow back, it was so powerful. They had like the strongest people at that time come and try to win the daughter of this king. Said if anybody could pull this bow back and put an arrow into it, and then shoot it, would be able to marry the king's daughter. So it's really interesting how this idea, this concept, this theme parallels all throughout history, all throughout cultures. But let's go further and see what this says.
And the strongest and the youngest and all the muscle men and all of the biggest people of the world, they all tried to come and pull it out, and nobody could pull it out. It was some type of spell on this staff that it couldn't come out. Now, we're not going to get into Moses' life in detail, but to make a long story short, after Moses was brought, or actually Moses came to Midian, he was thrown into jail by Yitro for 10 years. We're not going to get into that whole story now. It's another talk. While in jail for 10 years, he was being fed secretly by Tzipora. Now, once in jail, Yitro forgot about him. No one was feeding him. He probably died. Tzipora said, Abba, whatever happened to that Jew boy, Egyptian guy who's in jail? Is he still alive? He said, of course not. He said, let's go check. They went to check, and miraculously, Yitro didn't know his daughter was feeding him. Miraculously, Yitro said, wow, he's alive. He must be a very special person. The descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They took him out. They freed him. Moshe was walking around the fields of Midian, and he sees that staff for the first time. He goes over to it and he sees two things engraved on it. Firstly, God's name. Secondly, the acronym of the 10 plagues that are going to be. He didn't know exactly what it was. But
okay, interesting. Here's another parallel. When he said that they saw God's name engraved on the staff, it's interesting because there's many stories in India where they talk about God's name being engraved on certain weapons and certain instruments, divine instruments. They call them divine weapons. And the staff would be considered like a divine weapon in a sense. It had a lot of power to it. The other interesting thing is that when there's another story, the Ramayana, where Lakshman and Ram, the two main characters, are going to try to cross over from India into Sri Lanka, which you know is the real. Sri Lanka is close to a small island close to India. And it's the only way they could get there, because it was such a long ways off, was to get these big stones and put them across as a bridge, but they had to get the stones to float. So what they did was they invoked the name of God and wrote the name of God. At that time in India, it's called Rama. And they invoked that name and did some ritual or something and scratched or carved the name into the pieces of stone that they found, and it would floated on the water. And the whole story is that they were able to get across that floating stone bridge and go over there and rescue Ram's wife, Sita, from the demon Ravan. It's really interesting, though, just thinking about the name. The reason I'm giving you all of that is to show you that I'm not just making this up. You can look it up online, so you can look up the names that I just said, and you'll see that there's these strong... This is thousands of years before Moses. So it's interesting how these things all kind of come into play here. That's why I love doing this. There's a lot of things that you can connect the dot with, So okay, let's check further here.
the 10 plagues, an acronym, as we know, we have the 10 that we say during the Haggadah, Detzach, Adash, Ba'achav, right? So though that word, which he didn't really understand what it was yet, was inscribed, as well as the name of God. He looked at it, and in a flinch, he picks up the staff. And it comes out, after all those muscle people tried to take it out. Yitro saw that, and he said, I guess I have to give you my daughter Tzipora. And that's the story of the staff of Moses. So that's its origin. Its origin was from the time of creation, passed down from Adam to Chanoch to Shem to Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Yosef. Paro got his hands on it. Yitro got his hands on it until finally it made its way all the way until Moshe Rabbeinu. That staff went with Moshe Rabbeinu all the way till the end. So it's very interesting to know where it came from and how Moshe actually got it. So that Hashem HaKadosh Baruch Hu will help us. That we'll take a question.
Two questions. One, how long was he in jail? Two, where is that staff?
Oh, very good. Okay, so that staff, I can't tell you where that staff is. I'm joking. Because then I'll have to, no. I don't know where the staff is. I'm sure, maybe I'll look around, I can find where it is. He was in jail for 10 years.
But you said they let him out when she asked about the food.
No,
He actually sat for 10 years when you let him out?
He sat for 10 years, and then Tzipora said, Abba, Yitro, what's with that man that we threw into jail? Yitro forgot about him, he must be dead, he starved to death.
So he gave him a life sentence, but he let him out after 10 years?
Yes. Okay, to make a long story short, why Yitro gave him a life sentence, we won't get into it, but basically, the Midrash tells us, if we make calculations, there's 40 years unaccounted for of Moses' life. It's really a little more than that, it's 47 years. So, to make a long story short, Moses became the king of Cush. It's an African country. We'll get into it in another time. And finally, when the children of the king, who he took over because he passed away, it's a long story, when they got older, then it was their turn to become king. So and they made peace. He decided, okay, he's going to step down, and he left. And from there he went to Midian. As soon as he came to Midian and they heard that he was no longer king of Cush, they thought that he must be a criminal. He must have done something wrong. So instead of just letting him live in town, Yitro, the priest of Midian, sentenced him to prison. That's how Moshe ended up in prison. And then that's how he got out 10 years later. And that's how he finally had that famous staff, which led him through the whole way through the Exodus as well as the desert. It's been a long time. Yeah, it was a long time.
Well, this is interesting to me because it makes sense that Moses spent some time in jail. After all, he was the king of an African country. I'm just kidding. Have a sense of humor, guys. But no, it's interesting. It's interesting because I like this guy because he said that. He actually told the truth. And people that tell the truth about those things, about anything in particular, especially when it comes to biblical stuff, I always think that they're really good people. So I respect this guy a lot. Parashat Shemot, I believe. And, Rabbi, I guess that's the name of the mystery of Moses, Parashat Shemot. And Rabbi Loreto, who I will subscribe to because I like this guy now. I think he tells the truth. I could probably learn a lot from a guy like this. And this was interesting. This was really interesting, guys. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I'll be looking at a lot of miraculous things from the Bible and from the Gita and from every aspect of life, that we can find, including aliens and things like that, which I'm very interested in because of my own experiences. If you haven't seen my videos, look at them. I would love to get your feedback, hear what you have to say on this, and this is really interesting stuff. So I'll be putting more videos up like this, depending on how I feel and when I get my homework done for the. I'm doing a master's in cybersecurity. Once I get all that stuff done, I'll be putting up more videos tonight, probably, and more things related to spirituality and to the Abrahamic books. Abraham and Moses, the books of Abraham and Moses, and the Old Testament, I guess if you want to call it. So I'll be putting up more stuff that I can find, interesting stuff that I can find. All right, guys, have a great, wonderful weekend and enjoy your Easter. And let's wish and hope that everybody finds forgiveness in their heart and people can get over whatever pain they're struggling with and that we can look forward to a much better future. And I have something to say here, actually, that I do forgive people, but when they continuously keep doing things, it's hard for me to want to be around those people, But I do forgive people. I do give them chances over and over. I try to. But I just stay away from the ones that continue to try to harm me. So I hope that helps you in some way. That's what I've learned to do over time. Have a great Easter weekend, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.